In elementary school, we did this thing called popcorn reading. This is where you read out loud from the textbook as a class, and once one student finishes, they call on a random student to continue wherever they left off. Now, this shouldn't be such a big deal, and it doesn't seem like it is, but to 8-year-old me, it was the end of the world. I would sit in my seat and just sweat and just keep my finger on the words and try to be ready for if someone were to call my name. This severe anxiety kept me from actually paying attention to what we were supposed to be learning in class. And this has been an issue for me for the 14 years I've been in school, and it still is today. Sometimes I'll be reading something and just get nothing out of it because I'm anxious about something else going on in my life. And I want to discuss today how anxiety affects education and what we can do to fix this issue in our school systems. School officials don't really know much about anxiety, so they end up just not doing anything to help fix the issue. There have been many times where I have an anxiety attack before class, but I still feel like I need to go or my anxiety will be worse if I miss those attendance points. I've always felt like it's a little messed up to me that if I had the flu or a cold, I'd get excused from class. But since I try to explain to my teachers that I'm having anxiety, they just assume that I'm exaggerating or being a little dramatic. But anxiety disorders are a serious illness, and they should be treated that way. For you guys to understand how serious it can actually be, I'm going to describe to you what some of my panic attacks have been like. First, I start hyperventilating, and then my whole body starts tingling. And then, is this working? Okay. And then my hands and my feet will just go paralyzed, and this will last for about 30 minutes. This doesn't seem like such a long time, and it's actually not as scary as it sounds, but it leaves me a little scared and anxious the rest of the day, and going to class is like the last thing that I want to do after this happens. If teachers knew this and they were more educated about how severe anxiety could be, I think that they would be a lot more forgiving with their attendance policies. And this is such an important issue because so many around us struggle with crippling anxiety. If we could stop anxiety in its tracks and diagnose it while children are still young, I think we could help fix this issue. It's inevitable that many of your children will struggle with this, and that the school systems you put your kids in aren't going to really do anything to help. And this is a problem. There was a study done in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences in Canada on this subject, and it says about 49% reported leaving school prematurely. 24% of those indicated that anxiety was the main reason for this decision. Those who left prematurely were significantly more likely to have a lifetime diagnosis of generalized phobia, a history of alcohol abuse or dependence, and a greater number of lifetime diagnoses than those who completed their desired level of education. We learned two things from this study. The first thing is that half of the students who withdraw from school do so because of anxiety. And the second thing we learn is that early withdrawal from school indicates that, or increases the likelihood of a negative diagnosis in your future. In middle school, my family and I moved around a lot, and when I was 12, we moved again because we were building a new house, and I didn't want to go to another public school because it was just really hard and scary. And so I decided during the building process I would be homeschooled. So I was homeschooled for the last half of 7th grade and the first half of 8th grade. And my homeschooling program was kind of weird, and they didn't teach me all of the same things that public schools teach the students. So when I ended up going back to school in 8th grade, I felt like I knew nothing. And in math, they were learning about algebra. And my teacher asked me in front of everyone how to get x isolated. And I was like, is this lady crazy? Because there's not letters in math. My teacher embarrassed me in front of everyone and made me feel dumb. And I had to catch up all on my own. And that just was really hard for me. And because of school-related stress and anxiety, I refused to go to public school. and I fell behind. And I also refused to talk to other kids my age for a whole year during one of the most crucial years for social growth. This situation could have been very different if the school system were to help me more, and if they knew how to help students with severe anxiety. My school's officials and teachers could have helped in so many ways. They should start by having teachers avoid calling on students who aren't raising their hands. They should also stop forcing kids to take tests in a short period of time and having pop quizzes. Even making students read aloud or putting students in groups with other kids that they don't know can cause major anxiety. Fixing these seemingly small things could make a huge difference. Another thing that I think American schools should try to do is to improve anxiety within the classroom. The classroom is a more comfortable place generally than a doctor's office or a counselor's room, so more kids could be reached. A way this could happen is through in-school treatment sessions. There was a study done by 5 doctors at the National Institute for Health, and they discovered that this is a promising avenue. They went to 5 different schools and had 5 different treatments where they practiced psychoeducation with students struggling with anxiety. This included hour-long sessions of working on social skills, cognitive restructuring, assertiveness, coping with bullying, relaxation skills, and problem solving. Instead of ignoring their issues, the kids got to work through them, and this showed great results. The study showed that after only 10 sessions, there was a significant decrease in self- and clinician-rated anxiety levels, as well as a decrease in symptoms of depression. All it took was part of class time for 10 weeks devoted to these sessions. There are some situations in education where anxiety is inevitable, like this TED Talk, but sometimes it can help you grow. But when serious anxiety issues are ignored, kids are left alone and they only worsen. Anxiety is hard enough to deal with in all aspects of your life, so I really wish that school could be a source of comfort to our children. Since schooling is the source of so many students' anxiety, it only makes sense that we start there to fix it. Thank you.